Well, Dr. Earl, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for being part of ACTIVZ. We're excited to have you part of the team.
It's great to be here.
I think I speak for everyone when I ask, tell us a little bit about your history in medicine.
Well, I started out at a very young age wanting to practice medicine and fell in love with medicine with an old-time family practice doctor in town, and he just really cared about patients, really cared about the people. And because of that, I decided that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be a doctor. Well, sure enough, went through medical school and got out and had the wonderful opportunity to practice emergency medicine. And while I was there, I practiced for 16 years. I got to fly on Life Flight. I got to run with the SWAT team. And I did some pretty incredible things. But ultimately, it came down to a choice of how to make the biggest impact. And I went into medicine to really help and to look at getting people well. And what I found was what was happening was we were just moving them from one prescription to the next or to surgery. The answer is drug it or cut it. And that just really didn't fly after a certain period of time. And then add to that the fact that we started having chronic pain issues, patients who just wouldn't get better no matter what. And it really became quite difficult to feel practicing that type of medicine was rewarding. Then ultimately, I guess, ultimate kick in the pants, if you will, I ended up getting very sick myself. And after seeing multiple doctors, cardiologists, pulmonologists, infectious disease doctors, and so forth, all who had no answers, I had to turn to functional medicine and, if you will, a more natural approach in order to find and discover my illness and ultimately help get myself well.
Well, after all those years of practice, and you've probably seen thousands, maybe tens of thousands of patients, do they fit into some common areas of the types of patients and the types of problems that they come to see you for?
Very much so. You find that patients really tend to, if you pay attention to the way that patients come in, they have certain complaints and they have certain systems. The biggest thing as well that I noticed with Western medicine, if you will, is that they try to compartmentalize patients too much. And we find that the systems are so linked, they're so connected together, that if we don't address the entire system, if we don't address the cross connections between different systems, we're missing the curative process.
Well, it's funny you should use the word LINQ. I know I didn't coach you for that, but in regards to the product that we're introducing called LINQ, we're pretty excited about this connection between different systems. And can you tell us a little bit about the connectivity between the brain and the gut, or what some people call the second brain?
Yeah, absolutely. So the big thing to keep in mind is there are numerous, too numerous to count, authorities, experts in functional medicine, foundational medicine, in medicine that actually cures, that that have noted that the gut is the key to health. And the reason is because, first, it's responsible for digesting our nutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, all those key components that we need in order for us to maintain health. The second is that it is very integrated with our immune system. Estimates, and I shouldn't say estimates, depending upon your degree of illness, if you will, and inflammation, 70 to 80% of your immune system actually resides in and around the digestive system. So huge. And ultimately, the other component is the nerves. There's actually enough nerve tissue around the gut, around the digestive system, that they call it a second brain. And interestingly enough, 90 to 95% of neurotransmitters are actually made in and around the digestive system, even that your brain uses.
Well, we hear a lot about gut health and the importance of gut health. There's things that are prebiotics, probiotics. There's a lot of noise out there about what people should be doing for their gut health and to reestablish or strengthen this connection between the brain and the second brain, or the gut, and sometimes called the microbiome. What do you think is the crucial difference with our product called LINQ and other things that are out there?
Well, we often talk about Western medicine and the fact that it's often treating the leaves on the tree and not the true root cause. We know through basic gardening, or if you've done anything with plants, that if you'll get something into the root system, if you'll actually introduce it into the soil and let the roots take it up, you affect the entire organism. And that's what we really find with LINQ, is the fact that it really gets deep into the body, into the system. It's a crucial link actually between your microbiome, the bacteria that live in your gut, your digestive system, and then ultimately your nervous system. It's connected in so many different ways, and it really is foundational to true health.
As I've researched our active ingredients, butyric acid and other very important ingredients that are part of LINQ, I've been overwhelmed by the amount of research and the number of benefits that supplementing with this very unique proprietary active ingredient can have. But if you were to talk about, the top 3 or 4 benefits that people could expect, you're the doctor, what would you say are the top benefits?
Well, I think keep in mind some very important things. We're tying inflammation to so many different diseases, be that cardiovascular disease, hypertension, strokes, the list goes on and on and on. So LINQ has a crucial role to play in decreasing overall systemic inflammation. The other thing is, we've talked about foundational things. Let me back up just a little bit here, if I may, and say, as a doctor, if I can find a product or a system or a series of products that really affects the body and the tissues so foundationally that it makes such a big difference throughout the entire system, I get excited about that. I really do. And so that's what we find with LINQ. Everything from altering your DNA and the way that it is expressed, improving your inflammation. Understand, inflammation is a normal part of your body's system. It's just when it gets out of balance and out of sorts that it becomes a problem. Well, butyric acid helps with that. Again, we've talked about DNA. The other key component, mitochondria. These are the powerhouses of your body. They're what energize your cells and ultimately you. And so butyric acid has an amazing effect on upregulating mitochondria and then making sure that they work correctly in regards to utilizing glucose and oxygen. So it's a very profound effect that it has on the entire system.
So going off that for a second, in terms of the mitochondria, does that affect metabolism and such things as weight loss, energy levels, all of those things?
Yeah, they did a study that actually revealed that patients who did nothing more than just take butyric acid had better utilization of their glucose, their mitochondria increased, they lost on an average of 10% of their body weight, and overall improved their energy and sense of well-being significantly.
Now I've heard you say that endothelial cells love to eat butyrate. Now I'm not sure if that's exactly the right way it works, but first of all, can you tell us what in the world are endothelial cells and why they're so important?
Endothelial cells are, we've discarded them with Western medicine forever, but the reality is we're realizing how critical they are. They are the cells that line our digestive system. So they are what is responsible for us to absorb the nutrients, the energy, the vitamins, the minerals that we need. They're responsible for that. They're also responsible for keeping what's called a tight junction, a connection in between those areas. They create a barrier. They're our first line of defense. And you may have heard of something called leaky gut, and that's where that defense becomes broken down. Well, the endothelial cells, their primary, I shouldn't say primary, their preferred energy source is butyric acid. It's a short chain fatty acid that is typically made by our microbiome, by the bacteria, the healthy bacteria. It's one of their byproducts. How efficient that our body then uses that as its primary energy source. And so all of these different connections come together with the butyric acid.
Well, I guess that if our body makes it already, the reason that it would be important to supplement it with a product like LINQ that has been shown to be the most bioavailable form of butyric acid must be that we're not making enough of it. Maybe our diet, maybe our lifestyle. Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, interesting. Two of the major components where we used to get a lot of our butyric acid from, if you will, from our diet was unpasteurized milk and unpasteurized butter or ghee. And that just doesn't exist anymore. It's a staple of other cultures, but here in the United States, we pasteurize our milk and that destroys it, that breaks it down. The other big component is fiber. So if we would get enough fiber, the microbiome would make the butyric acid and we would be able to have sufficient, if you will, for what we needed. But the reality is we get out of balance. So now the bad bacteria have an upper edge, if you will, on the good bacteria So they're not functioning at optimal levels. And what happens is they end up not making the butyric acid that we need.